Hi guys, are you ready for devotional number 7? This one is about Abraham's family. Do you remember we read about Abraham and Sarai last week? Well, this is the rest of their story. In the ancient world, having kids was very important. Lots of kids. Why? Because living in the ancient world took a lot of work. You needed people to plant and harvest grain, people to take care of sheep, people to take care of goats, people to take care of camels. If you were attacked by another group of people, you needed people to help fight back. The more kids and grandkids you had, the more help you had in planting and harvesting and shepherding and protecting. The more kids and grandkids you had, the better your life would be. Which is why it was so terrible that Abram and Sarai didn't have kids. And why God's promise that Abram's family would become a nation was so exciting. By now, Abram and Sarah had been following God for 24 years. They had wandered all over the land God had said would be theirs. They had wandered down to Egypt and back again. And God had blessed Abram. He now had lots of servants and sheep and goats and camel. The only thing Abram and Sarai still didn't have was kids. Abram was about to give up on the idea of building a family when God told him two things. First, God said, "Your name isn't Abram anymore. It's Abraham. And Sarai's name is now Sarah." And Abraham said, "Okay." Then God said, "And next year, Sarah will have a baby." And do you know what Abram did? If you look at the picture, you might get a clue about his response. He laughed. Why did he laugh? Because the next year, Sarah would turn 90 years old. Abraham had never heard of a 90-year-old woman having a baby. Have you ever heard of a 90-year-old woman having a baby? Abraham tried not to, but he couldn't help it. He laughed. And then God said, "And the baby will be named Isaac," which means, get this, he laughs. Isn't that hilarious? A year later, Sarah had a baby boy, and they named him Isaac. Everyone was amazed at this God who could make promises and keep them, even promises that sounded crazy. God wanted to see if Abraham really trusted him. Really trusted him. So when Isaac was older, God asked Abraham if he would give up his son. Did Abraham really trust God? This was the child they had waited for. The child God had promised, the child God would use to bless the whole world. What if Isaac died? Would God still keep his promise? Would God bring Isaac back to life? Abraham didn't know for sure, but he did know one thing. He trusted God. So Abraham got ready to give up Isaac because God asked him to. But God didn't want Isaac to die. He just wanted to know if Abraham trusted him. As soon as Abraham was ready to give up Isaac, God sent an angel who called out to Abraham from heaven, "Stop! Do not lay a hand on the boy." Then something amazing happened. God learned that Abraham would trust him no matter what. Abraham learned that God would keep his promises no matter what. Isaac learned that he could trust God just as much as his father did. He learned that he could trust God with his life. So God said, "Now I can use you to build my nation." All right, the tricky bits. Are you ready? What is a sacrifice? To sacrifice means to give up something. In the Bible, an animal sacrifice was often payment for sin. We don't have to do that anymore. God didn't really want Abraham to sacrifice his son. He only wanted to know that Abraham trusted him. Did you see the ram in the picture? Let's go back and look for it. See it right there? God provided the ram so Abraham wouldn't have to sacrifice Isaac. All right, we're going to talk with your parents for a little bit, so pause the video after each question. What did Abraham learn because he trusted God no matter what? Okay, pause the video and talk about it. Next question. What is one way you can trust God right now? pause the video and talk about it. All right, will you pray with me? Dear God, help us to obey you the way Abraham did, even when we don't understand your plan. Amen. See you tomorrow for a bedtime story.